Hello Internet, welcome back once more to some Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and we're going to be doing another team video. I actually had done a previous team video a couple of months ago when we did the Judgment Day protocol. For those of you guys that aren't familiar, it's a really nice build. I recommend you guys check that out. But the issue that I had personally with that build is that it involved a certain blade that had less than 1% chance to pull from your cores, and I figured, you know what if you don't have that yet? What if you want to work your way towards it and you still want to dominate the bosses along the way without any trouble? So that's what this video is going to be for. This is, instead of Judgment Day Protocol, this is Team Jalapeno Hotties. This is going to be a kind of team built solely around the mechanic that I sort of showcased a bit for the Perdido video. Now, for those of you guys that haven't seen that, the whole point was pretty much to stack as many fire types as I can for each of my team members, and then by getting all those elements together, they would continuously stack the different blade combos and accumulate into kind of the big burst damage that you see at the end while quickly building orbs. It's very reliable, and it's also a very useful one orb setup for your chain attacks. So the team that we're going to be using, I'm actually going to have two variations. One of the other things I wanted to address regarding the previous one with Judgment Day Protocol was the fact that Poppy QT Pie does require a bit of investment, and that's not something that people are easily into. Of course, with the addition of New Game Plus and the fact that you can actually buy Ether Shards to upgrade Poppy, that can happen, but for people that are just starting out, what we're going to do is we're going to be playing primarily with story-based blades. The only real requirement is to have Dagas. He is going to be the only rare blade in the game, and according to last month's data mine, the probability of Dagas is about as low as 3%, but as high as 8.7, depending on what probability you have. So I'll probably leave a link in the description regarding the actual upload for that picture. It's a really interesting thing to look into. And basically, yeah, that would pretty much be the only thing though. Dagas, he would be the only rare blade, and he's a very good one overall. For those of you guys that aren't familiar with Dagas, he has the unique Kaiser Zone ability. This increases the damage of the entire party by 120% at max affinity, and you will be reaching max affinity really easily due to the fact that he has a crit recharge mechanic. You're constantly canceling out abilities, and that builds it really nicely. Also, the cool thing about Dagas is that when you give him the second affinity charge, he will have 3 aux cores. So what we're going to be using today for today's video is a critical up, blade combo boost 6, and affinity max attack. He is currently at S rank trust, so if you want, you can actually build it to S+, and he'll cap with his blade combos fairly frequently, but even then, we can still be approaching cap damage at certain intervals. It's very powerful, but that would be the aux cores for him. I'm also currently using a Moon Matter chip for his weapon to give him the Axe of Banishing, just because I want to give him the highest critical rate possible. Now, the second one we're going to be using is Pyra, and Pyra, she actually is much better than we give her credit for. In my opinion, I actually find her more fun to use than Mithra, and what makes Pyra so good is that she has some built-in abilities, I also believe that Dagas does, in terms of increasing blade combo damage. So 72% for Resplendence, and for Dagas, it's going to be 60%. So they both have abilities that complement this well. So to this end, I would actually would have someone like Brighid kind of initiate the blade combos and then have Dagas and Pyra follow it up. The thing is though, is that when you build the fire orb the first time around, then the AI for Rex will probably start switching to Mithra to start using a light special in order to build a light orb. So you may want it for Pyra to be the second stage and then Dagas being the third stage, but it's really up to you. And of course there is going to be Brighid, who is our tank. She is going to be essentially just kind of just playing tank most of the time, not really anything special. She is just one more component to kind of smooth out the process of building our orbs. I've given her Hunter's Chemistry and Blade Combo Boost just because she will be able to reach some nice amounts of damage. And for Pyra, the same thing applies, a Blade Combo Boost for her. I've given her Critical Up because there will be times where Rex might switch to Mithra, and if that happens, then the crit recharge mechanic applies to all of her moves, so he will be able to reach the levels much faster. Now, I kind of just had the variations, and again, one other alternative is that if you want to have your battles go by much smoother and you're willing to invest your time into the actual Tiger, you can actually give Poppy QT Pie a level, sorry, not a level 5, a fire element orb and then when you give her that, she is going to be able to kind of just join the party. She will be able to tank. I'll just show you all the features that she has right now. It's pretty much all the stuff that we've seen before. If you can, try to give her upgrades to her level 3 specials for Vital Charge. That will be probably her most useful and most frequently used ability. But yeah, that pretty much about does it. I'm actually going to quickly show you guys the accessories we're using for these 3 characters as well. I have Dagas on Zeke because Zeke's his moveset for Great Axe is just very, very useful because it has topple and bonus damage on toppled enemies. For the most part, there's going to be Burst Symbol and Optical Headband just to give more of an edge when we're doing our chain attacks, because we will be using chain attacks for sort of a emergency cooldown, and the Avant-Garde Medal because I would like to be tanking as much as I can if ever it turns out that Morag or Rex ends up gaining the aggro themselves. And of course, for Rex, I've actually decided to give him a diamond just to give him a little bit of passive HP. There are no healers on this team, so we need to make sure that for what little time we have to burst down the boss, we want to keep him alive as quickly as we can. And of course, the burst symbol, which is obligatory for every character in this party to just give our chain attacks more damage. And then the nano metal gauntlet just to speed up the process of him building up combos for Pyra. Now, same thing goes for Morag. I've also given her the diamond. She will be tanking the majority of the time, and she does have nice evasion. However, there are certain bosses that do come with spike damage, so we want to sort of mitigate that damage as best we can. And of course, the obligatory burst crit combo. Same thing can be said for Tora. I've actually given him the Omega Drive to just give him a little bit more party gauge. He does a lot of good damage on his own, so I'm not too worried about buffing that any further. And of course, burst symbol, optical headbands, if ever I was going to do that. So what we're going to do is that we're going to actually fight the same boss twice, and we're going to be playing with both variations. Oh, sorry, do you know what? I actually should probably show you guys what we're also using. Every character is using the exact same pouch setup. Astrology made simple to increase the damage of specials, and Char-Grilled Grumbird to passively recharge the arts. What we're going to do is that we're actually going to do the example boss fight using both variations of the party, so Morag will be switched out for Poppy QT Pie in the next fight. Basically, all I'm going to be doing here is working on canceling, ensuring that Rex or Morag, if ever they do have aggro, I will be trying to work towards getting that. Thankfully, the level 1 special of Brighid will be able to sort of get the aggro off. And what's going to happen here is, unfortunately, my critical recharges did not work for Berserker Slash, so I'm just going to have to go ahead and do things the old-fashioned way, as the Char-Grilled Grumbird kind of just does its work for us. And now that we are at max affinity, all of our attacks will start to do more damage. This is the really, really fun part. The nice thing about having Pyra is that when you activate any of her specials, particularly for her level 3, it's almost instant, so it does work quite nicely as a safety cooldown. And just because we have just began the fight, we are going to start seeing some cat damage very, very early on. Now, unfortunately, Tyrantite and Kuridal decide to start things off with a Rampage train. That's okay. I'd rather just begin the fight and then buffer the heat. And now that there's a Murder Ray on our way, I'm actually going to wait a little bit longer, see who gets doomed, build up whatever charges that I can, and then cancel things straight into a chain attack. For the duration of this chain attack, we will be immune to all damage, meaning the Doom will not bother us whatsoever. Also, we were lucky because a Bone Crusher had just been activated on Rex, who was positioned behind him, and he's not going to be suffering any of that damage either. So the reason why we wanted to have the heat be activated before initiating the chain attack is that we'll give ourselves a little bit more room to build another level 3 combo if Tyrantite and Kuridal does anything more dangerous. That being said though, I think things should be pretty fine overall. He is going to be halfway health, and all that's left for us to do is just build another level 3 combo to build another Fire Orb, resulting in another chain attack to finish him off. This is a very, very easy build, and like I said, Dagas is not a level 3, it's not level 3 at all. And here we go. So now we can just have that level, the level 2 buffer for the burnout, and we're gonna wait for this the Annihilation Flare. By the time he's around halfway health, he will start to do this. So just go ahead, we will be invincible for the duration of this attack, and then once this finishes, we should also have full meter for our power to gauge, and then we can repeat the process over again. So here we go. Alright, so there we go, full bars, and now we can continue our process. This will definitely finish him off. And also, thanks to that blade combo boost from the Ox Cores and the Regal Presence and Resplendence passives for Pyra and Dagas, there is going to be cat damage from that blade combo. Really, really, really good stuff. You'll also notice that Pyra is capping the most. She is the only character out of this entire party that is S+. So yeah, again, don't feel too pressured to start spamming food items, and this would be sort of your first step if you've yet to actually get anyone to S+, to sort of raise money by killing Tyrant and Cruradil over and over again. Oh goodness, I kind of wish that the DLCs will give us some more bosses to fight against, because I can imagine you guys are getting pretty tired of us roasting this guy over and over again, but yeah, I enjoy it. Okay, so that is going to be the first round. The next one is going to be with the Tora, and this one is going to be substantially easier due to the fact that Poppy QT Pie has quite a bit of damage in comparison to all the other blades. She works really well on any team and works wonderfully as a tank. You also might notice that I am completely restricting each driver to having only one blade. This is because we want to make the AI as predictable as possible, because if they do see that we are building up orbs and they need people to stay for the chain attacks, then I need to ensure, sorry, not for the chain attacks, but I just need them to stay around for whatever effects that we have for our continued blade combos, then I want to make sure that that's a thing that'll happen. So what I'm going to do is that before anything happens, I'm actually going to go ahead and then wait for the max affinity. Now that we have max affinity, I'm actually going to go ahead and kick things off with my own special. And then while that's going on, Tora is going to continue things. What makes Tora so useful for this team is just the fact that he has one of the best breaks in the game. By virtue of his break, he will actually initiate a lot of topples, and since Pyra is part of our team, and because Dagas already has topples built into his moveset, it's going to be a really, really good time. So I kind of just delayed the level 3 special just for a little bit longer. I was kind of hoping to get another topple, because if you get the topple, you'll get extra damage. Also, because of how fast this particular attack is, we run the very, very real risk of having the, what's it called, the Doom activate the moment we leave the invincibility. Okay, so now there is Ultra Annihilation Flare. We press plus to enter the chain attack, and that is going to be invincibility for us once more. There's a very real chance that we can finish off Tyrant and Cruradil during this single orb chain attack, just because of how powerful Poppy QT Pie is. So here we go. The level 1 special has been upgraded with a Vital Charge, and unfortunately we will not be seeing any extra damage from the next combo, but that's okay, because the level 2 special of Poppy QT Pie is also very, very good. Alright, so I think, yeah, unfortunately Pyra's attacks are only one hit, but it is consistent cap damage at S+. It's really, really good. Let's see, I hope this is enough to seal the deal. I really hope so. Let's cross our fingers, shall we? Oh yeah, more than enough. Really, really good stuff. So yeah, that's the really nice thing about this build, is that it's all centered around the fact that everyone is a fire element. The nice thing about certain elements, particularly for water, darkness, light, and dark, and fire, is that they all stack into each other. This means that when you have a party that's all a single element, then you will be able to see extra damage. Now, due to the fact that elements are actually quite random, it is very possible that there will be times where your enemy is going to be fire resistant. That's going to be okay, because if it ever turns out they're fire resistant, that means that there's also the chance that the enemies will be water resistant, meaning you'll do extra damage to them. It is a bit random, but that just means that you're going to just spend maybe one more chain attack, and again, facilitating chain attacks is very, very easy, especially considering all the changes that have been made to the affinity charts. And even if you're still early on in post-game, then this is definitely a team that you may want to look into. So again, just focusing on your critical hits, focusing on blade combo boosts, and what chain attacks you can do. It's a very easy team to build up, and all you need is Dagas, fairly common in comparison to people like, say, Cosmos, for example. Anyways, guys, thanks very, very much for joining me for today's team video, and as usual, I'll see you guys next time. Take care, everyone.